Hi, this is Connie from ESM Technology. Today I'd like to talk about an interesting topic, how you can connect your AI tools from your company, whether it's ChatGPT, Claude, or maybe an in-house AI agent that was built. On the right-hand side here, you'll see the familiar web UI. So that's really one of your views into BigFix Data along with web reports. On the left-hand side here, I happen to be using Claude, and I'm going to run through some questions that I could ask BigFix. But not only just standard reporting questions, some deep thinking questions on building a remediation plan and doing some trending, stuff that I find really useful that would normally take me time if I had to put this on a spreadsheet and analyze and go through a lot of data. So let's start first with a very simple question of finding out what devices have reached OS end of life. I'm going to go out, I'm going to ask it. Usually the answer will come back in either a couple of seconds or sometimes a little bit longer, depending how much thought it has to put into it. And here we have our list. Now, interesting, I need a little bit more information, and I'm going to need some information that's not in BigFix, and this is where the power of AI comes in. I want to know when the vendor end of life dates are, so I'm going to ask it, and it has enough intelligence to look what's already in the chat here. I'm going to say add vendor EOL dates. Now it's going to go out, it's going to look at all of the OSs that came back, and it's going to add the vendor EOL dates that it knows about. And pretty neat. Came back with the vendor EOL dates. Saved me time. I would have had to look each one of them up on the web because I needed it for a report. Okay, let's move on to something a little bit more interesting here on will I reach my patching goal of 95%. So within 30 days I have a goal that I have to meet. Service level agreement. I have to be at 95% within the next 30 days. So I'm going to ask, will I reach my patching goal of 95% within the next 30 days? It's going to go out and it's going to look at the data. Now, behind the scenes, we have BigFix hooked up to BigFix Insights. And BigFix Insights is the data warehouse that BigFix uses, whether you have one BigFix instance or multiple, to be able to store both the historical and current data. So real good source to be able to go out there and query. And on top of it, you could build reports, whether it's using Power BI or just being able to extract the data. It's stored in a normal SQL Server database. Okay, so plotting a forecast for us. Let's see if we're going to make our 95% here. And this is looking pretty good because I'm already at 98.3% for May, and I have some patches left to do. And this is great. I'm going to focus on those patches. And it's also given me a little bit of insights here of where I've been and where it thinks I'm going. Let's ask another question on list what needs to be remediated. Now, normally on most of the chat bots there, obviously it's not going to bring back a million rows. They're smart enough to bring back the top 10 or the top 20 on of what makes sense. Okay, now this one's just taking a bit longer. So as you can see, when it says execute query, actually going out there and looking deep into the data. Now we could also do the same. We were looking for software out there or CIS checks. Here it's actually giving us some prioritization. I could also have fed it, since this is a AI tool, my document, plain business terms for my company SLA, and it could apply that against it, and then it would actually come back and say, hey, based on your company policy, some companies have external, internal policies where the external are more risk averse and they get patched first, where it would actually say, it'll compare it against that context and say, do the external first, they're more important. Some companies actually have a weighted patch policy. So I have my prioritization here that I could go off with. This is pretty good, and here you could copy out of it, save it. It's telling me what to act immediately on here. Also, I have some stuff that's way overdue. Let's see what my patch compliance trend has been for the past 3 months. And of course you could, as you saw earlier, you could add follow-up questions on it. And it looks like I've been doing pretty decent here for the past 3 months here. Okay, so today's session was really about the art of the possible. Stay tuned for future sessions where we'll have a technical session that'll go into a deep dive on how you can get this configured in your environment. Thank you. Bye.